Hello everyone, friends. In the world of Poppy Playtime, there are many antagonists throughout all parts. Here we have Huggy Wuggy, the most dangerous mummy long legs, the crazy Miss Delight, and of course the cruel Catnap. But there is someone who was behind the screen all the time. He was like an eminence grise, and in fact he is the main villain of the entire series of games. This is of course a prototype. Today we'll talk about who he is. What does he need? And where did he come from? But before that, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. And also write in the comments what else you would like to hear about. Begin. The prototype, otherwise known as Experiment 1006 or the Claw, is the overarching antagonist of Poppy Playtime, debuting in Chapter 1, A Tight Squeeze. He was one of the first successful experiments founded by Playtime Co. In an attempt to create the ideal experiment for the Bigger Bodies Initiative.it, is said that the prototype was responsible for the Hour of Joy, an event which took place in the Playtime Co. factory, which resulted in countless deaths, and the company is subject to abandon all their works while their factory was overran by Savage Toys, all of which were influenced by the prototype's high authority and unintended capabilities. Throughout each chapter, the prototype makes many cameo appearances, primarily during the ending segments of them. In Chapter 1, players were told that the Hour of Joy must be his doing. In Chapter 2, the prototype drags Mummy Longleg's lifeless body. Finally, the prototype makes an appearance during Catnap's hallucination sequence, and after the Catnap boss fight. The prototype shrouds his body through shadows and dark shafts. However, throughout all his appearances, only his arm is found. His hands, resembling slender silver pins that can depict a concerning array of movements. Although his fingers seem fragile due to its appearance, they can effortlessly slice through flesh with unnerving smoothness. The prototype exhibits a personality which is solely built upon his hatred and wishes for downfall for the Playtime Co. company. He is cunning, stubborn, and rarely displays sarcasm. In a conversation with Harley Sawyer during Log 2, 4459, the prototype's voice is heard for the first time, as he mockingly mimics the voices of various employees like Stella Graber. He engages in a monologue about his motivations, questioning Harley Sawyer's thoughts on the effects of the Bigger Bodies Initiative and the treatment of experiments. After Sawyer comments on learning something new about the prototype at each meeting, the prototype sarcastically thanks Harley and repeats the same thing back while imitating his voice. The prototype also seems carefree, using the experiments as pawns for his reign of terror, was particularly evident in the restricted tapes. These tapes depict toys being taken over by the prototype, aiming to sabotage their attempts at progress and transportation of their experiments. The most notable example is Huggy Wuggy, whom the prototype ordered to flee the Playtime Co. factory. As soon as Huggy Wuggy ran too far out, he began simply roaming the woods and only attacking employees after being aggravated. Little is known about the prototype other than it was the ideal vessel Playtime Co. expected for its Bigger Bodies Initiative going forward. Presumably, Experiment 1006 was the first sentient experiment to come after the company's attempts at replicating Elliot Ludwig's attempts at post-mortem vessels to possess. The prototype was also stated to be an outlier with their other experiments, as the prototype was stated to not require a substance of food for survival. These findings were one of many that employees, primarily Harley Sawyer, enjoyed perceiving. It was stated that the prototype shows a new trait of himself during every session, being an interesting figure to examine. In another session, during Log 08502, the familiar scientist recounts an incident relating to the prototype. It is stated that 1006 was primarily kept in his chamber, monitored at all times. However, one day he created a laser pointer from the digital alarm clock in his room, fired it at the camera and disabled it for 28.3 seconds, upon which he hid in a blind spot, forcing a surveillance specialist to come in. He tried to escape through the door but was re-locked before he could. He apparently killed the specialist who was trapped inside. As one casualty occurred, as I already told you, he was involved with a boy named Theodore Gramble who would become Catnap in the future. On June 18, 1992, Huggy Wuggy was influenced by the prototype and instructed to leave the Playtime Co. factory. Without any warning, Huggy Wuggy hastily exited the facility through an open bay delivery door. Interestingly, Huggy Wuggy did not display any hostile behavior during his escape, merely running out of the building before being captured on surveillance footage wandering in the forest. Upon encountering employees who started firing darts at him, Huggy Wuggy, although not under the prototype's direct control, perceived their presence as a threat and attacked them. This led to the death of nearly 11 employees, with 6 others reported missing. During this time of freedom, it allowed 1006 to seize the Playtime Co. factory on August 8, 1995. This event, known as the Hour of Joy, involved a large-scale massacre and jailbreak against all life forms present in the factory. While the employees were focused on transporting Kissy Missy to Playcare, the Bigger Bodies experiments began a rebellion as they mindlessly slaughtered children, adults, and scientists, all while under the influence of the prototype. According to Poppy, the bodies were concealed, and the toys ultimately fed on them. However, as the human supply diminished, the toys started betraying one another in an effort to secure the remaining food resource. After Mummy Longlegs was killed by the grinder and her severed torso fell to the ground, the prototype's claw appeared from under the half-closed door to the left. He reached out and took Mummy's torso away, dragging it away back under the door. After this, he isn't seen again. Near the end of the chapter, before Poppy's monologue gets cut off, we hear the sound of an alarm clock going off, implying that the prototype has captured Poppy. Human bones can be seen tangled in the wires of the hand, showing that the prototype was once human, or that it took bones from one of the employees. It could likely have been taken from those he killed, as when Mummy Longlegs was being crushed to death in the grinder, she screamed that he'll make me part of him. This suggests that he's taking parts of toys and humans and making them part of his body. Given how Mummy states it, it is implied that toys are fully aware of what is going on in the factory. It is speculated that the prototype was trying to save the kids and experiments from Playtime Co. This was backed up by one of the VHS tapes in Chapter 1, saying coordination and cooperation is in his skill set. It is also speculated that the prototype is Elliot Ludwig, protecting those he had failed by fighting back against Harley Sawyer. I have a theory that the prototype in Poppy Playtime is using us, the player, to kill off the other experiments. My thought is related to 1006 killing Catnap at the end of Chapter 3, and that makes me think that the prototype wants the experiments dead, even his closest followers. We know that the prototype hates what was going on with all the experiments, and that's why he orchestrated the Hour of Joy. We know that he wanted to help the kids be free from the evil employees that were performing these experiments. After the Hour of Joy, the employees were gone, but the experiments and children inside still weren't free. This is when the prototype realizes that the only way to free the children is kill them. That may sound sad, but this is how the kids can finally move on and escape the factory. I believe that the prototype ordered Catnap to begin killing the other experiments to set them free. This was working until Catnap started to stop killing certain experiments. Catnap thought that the prototype wanted anyone that opposed him to be dead, but in reality the prototype wants all of them to die and finally be set free. What do you think of this theory? And this is where I end. Thank you for watching, friends. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like it, and also write what you want to see more. Thanks for watching and bye.